Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. I don't pay much attention to the news. I say that knowing that I pay more attention than people that are immediately around me, but I don't really pay much attention to the news, and I'm curious to know how much you do. Because there was a time in my life when I did. There was a time when I had a subscription to the local newspaper, and I would check Google News every day, and I would try to subscribe to email newsletters that covered news that I was interested in. I don't pay a whole lot of attention, Then I paid a whole lot of attention to news, and I have found that as I've grown older, I have become less inclined to watch or listen to the news, which is something that seems to be counterintuitive. I feel like news is for older people, but I think that I have de-aged as I've grown older. And I can tell you that personally, it has been very, very relieving to not follow mainstream news. Like, it's just, I don't, whatever. You know, my little existence is carved out here. I'm pretty secure in it. I'm just going to keep doing what I do, right? And maybe that's a bit of apathy or complacency, but it is what it is, you know. It's been good not following the news. That being said, there are news topics. You know, I follow what's happening in the board game industry because it's a very important industry to me. I've been involved in it for a long time. I pay attention to what's happening in the tech industry because I'm in tech. And so I do read a significant number of things about programming languages and server infrastructure and, you know, bare metal, computing, that sort of stuff. But as far as the rest of the stuff goes, if it's on my Reddit feed, I pay a little bit of attention. But let me tell you, so all that being said, I don't pay attention to the news. I don't have cable. First of all, I haven't had cable in over a decade. So I really don't watch the news ever. That's not something I'm going to go online to do. I don't care. I can only give you an outsider's perspective, meaning an outsider, as in this context, being somebody who doesn't really follow the news cycle. But this week, what the hell? What is going on? You know, like, it seems like mainstream, the 24-hour news cycle, grabs a thing, and that's what we talk about for until that thing is over, and then we grab the next thing. And so there's always been jokes about, and I mean, they're jokes because they're satirical in nature, but they're satirical in nature because they mirror reality. And those jokes are things like, well, at least the news has something new to cover, right? Like, I'm tired of hearing about whatever has been going on. And at the same time, there's the outrage news when something horrific happens, when there's brutality happening or there's racism happening or whatever, the news will cover that, and then immediately something new happens, so the news can drop that subject and never go back to it. And so both of those are bad things, right? Like, they're both, we get pissed off about something for a couple of days until the news cycle changes. And I think that that's valid and real. That there really is a cyclical nature to it. We don't really go back and visit. I mean, I shouldn't say we, but mainstream news. And I'm not saying journalism here. I'm saying news. Like, the news doesn't circle back and talk about stuff that, it's always just what's in the present. And they don't care if they screwed up. Every now and then, if they screwed up badly enough, they'll make a redaction and say, hey, yesterday we said this, we didn't mean that, we meant this. It's usually, they got the bake sale number wrong, and they have to tell you what number to call to find out about the bake sale. It's something stupid. They never really recant on big topics. So I want to reiterate, I'm really want to pull apart journalism and news because I think they're very separate things. There are journalists in the world doing amazing journalism. That's not news. That's topical, and it is informed, and it is researched and well put together. The news is just garbage. But this week in particular, Musk doing whatever the hell he's doing to Twitter, the collapse of the quote red wave, the orange man expecting to run again, Russia bombing Poland by accident. Like, what is happening? The news doesn't know what to talk about right now. There's so freaking much. We had a year or two, almost 2 full years of COVID coverage before Russia did its stupidity, and now we've had a year of that, or almost a year of that, and we've had little interjections here and there, but this week seems to be like, just pick a topic, because there's so many to cover right now, and it's my Reddit feed, which I use Reddit on a daily basis, and I have unsubscribed from all of the major. I only use Reddit to follow topics that I'm interested in, like board games and programming and books and that sort of stuff. Like, I follow very specific subreddits. There's like maybe 10 in my list, but even with that, there's spillover, and the front page will get big news and it's just, this week it's been, all of this stuff has been invasive, and so maybe if I'm taking my news from Reddit, I'm living in a vacuum where I only see the news that's presented, and maybe Reddit has changed its algorithm and is showing me more of the mainstream stuff than I want it to, but I've also verified, clicking on Google News every now and then to see, and it's the same stuff, like it's the same top stories, and it seems to be a complete cluster right now in the world. And is it a full moon or something? Oh, what's happening? There's got to be something happening, and I'm not plugged in enough to know what it is. But it seems, I can tell you that if I divert my attention to the news for any amount of time, even minutes, and I go click on that Google News and read the headlines, that is enough to sour my mood for the rest of the day. And that's sad, right? That's really sad. I miss John Krasinski's show at the start of the pandemic when he was doing the good news. That was friggin' amazing. Like, let's talk about some good stuff that's happening, because you very rarely hear about that. So, do you follow the daily news? Do you follow the 24-hour news cycle? Are there your favorite news channels to watch? How much do you pay attention to that sort of stuff? And do you feel like it positively or negatively impacts your mood and your desire to fight? I'd love to know. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should notice sounds smart is onerous. It is an adjective meaning describes a difficult task or heavy responsibility that one does not desire. Caring for his son's large aquarium quickly went from an interesting hobby to an onerous burden. Onerous. O-N-E-R-O-U-S. Yeah. Pets suck. Especially because the kids never take care of them, even though they promise you they will.